Right, welcome everyone. So I'd like to welcome Antonio and Rodrigo from Jerónimo Martins. They have just successfully completed a Vantage Cloud Lake POC with us, which was a great experience. So they're going to take you through that, your journey to the cloud, and then next steps. So thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm Antonio Bandeira. I'm from Jerónimo Martins. I've been working there for 15 years now. So I started as a COBOL programmer back then on a Portuguese company, which is an wholesaler for taking care of, well, actually COBOL took over the entire operations of that particular company, and then it changed. So, and I'm leading this big name of system architecture and integrations, which also has inside of it this data team. Rodrigo?
Yeah, so I'm Rodrigo. I'm the data technology manager. I'm responsible with all the environment of Teradata in Jerónimo Martins. And yeah, let's go to the presentation.
Okay. So let us start by introducing ourselves. So we are a food retailer, right? So we have a couple of supermarket chains. We started in the 18th century, late 18th century, with the first store open in Lisbon. So there is a Galician guy that went to Lisbon and started to sell to the Portuguese crown, right? So, and we are at the top 50 retailers on the world, and our mission is to provide food solutions and products that are safe, healthy, and affordable for everyone, okay? So I will jump to the next. So where we are. So we currently are in Portugal, so that's where we started. Then, and we have a few businesses there. So Pingo-Doce, which is one of the biggest supermarket chains that we have. The cash and carry, Recheio, the company that I was starting with. And in Portugal, we are also now having a different kind of businesses with agri-food. So we are already producing fruits and veg, raising cows, raising lambs, also fish. So we have fisheries and producing sea bream and sea bass, and a milk factory and so. We are then in Poland with two big brands. So Biedronka, which is the leader in supermarket chain in Poland, and a different company there, which is Hebe for health and beauty. And lately, we are also in Colombia with a brand called Ara. And we have this vision that whatever country we are going, we should be from there. So there, each business is actually driven and shaped for the environment and the culture and the population that we're serving. So, tech-wise, data tech-wise, this is, let's say, a very rough contextualization. So our main backbone is built on SAP for all the companies. Okay, it's a rough drawing a bit. You use Informatica Power Center mainly for our ETL processes. Then we have, obviously, Teradata. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? And in front of the data warehouse, you use for a long time now SAP Business Objects, which is kind of a nightmare and black box, and ClickSense, right? I understand why you are laughing. I usually cry. Okay, so we started in '97 with Oracle.
Boring.
Right? No one is perfect, right?
Boring Oracle.
So 2012, we moved to Teradata. We started with two infrastructures, one for production, another one for disaster recovery, and over the years, we've been increasing capacity. So the usual story about these, right? Last year, we moved to the cloud, which was a very painful process. No, it was not. So it was painful in an aspect that we were kind of blind of what problems we could find on the way, right? The process itself went easily without any kind of issue. So our target goal was we need to wake up Monday morning and our customers should not notice anything. So that's our objective. And in fact, for what matters to the project of moving the data warehouse, that did happen, okay? We have a different, we have a few issues, stabilization issues with SAP Business Objects. And other than that, everything went really well. So for you to have an understanding, we have around 7,000 users on this data ecosystem. We produce that huge amount of business object reports, okay? So a lot of legacy things and a lot of trash there. We have already around 1,400 click applications, 110 terabytes of data inside the database, 90 databases and all of that. So we have a really big and intensive usage of the system, right? So one other context. So the data warehouse and Teradata is a global defined solution for the entire group. So we have only one single enterprise data warehouse for all the companies in the group, centralized one. That data exploration and exploitation is supposed to be as self-service as possible. Of course, you need to put some guardrails there. So the idea is IT should not present themselves as a blocker for business units to develop their teams, right? And obviously, we have different maturities across companies and even inside each company of the group between business units and departments. So we have very knowledgeable, skillful, and fast-moving teams like Daniel's one, right? And others that need a lot of babysitting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this is it.
Yeah, so here we have just a graphic way to explain where we were before the migration. Before the decision of the migration, we had the two systems on-prem of Teradata and with the tools of data visualization, ETL, all on the same data center. So what was our decision with the data migration in Teradata to AWS? We decided to maintain the Informatica Power Center, the ETL layer, together with the operational systems and the main data sources on the data center of on-prem. Yeah. And we did a virtualization of the visualization tools, SAP BO and ClickSense. We did the same installment of on-prem, but in virtual machines in the cloud near the new system of Vantage.
Yeah, so Power Center stayed on-prem because the main data sources still are on-prem. So SAP is still on-prem, which is the relevant one, right? But we have a few others, but since most of the data sources are still on-prem, the Informatica Power Center is still on-prem. We moved business objects and ClickSense to the cloud, which is in our account, close to the data warehouse, of course, for data integrity. So we were looking to have less latency and, of course, reducing egress costs for the data transfers between those two systems. Those two were deployed. This is, I think, it's a kind of an important note here. Those two were deployed with the new approaches in the cloud, right? Infrastructure as service. So we currently don't have an active VR system for those two systems. We have everything scripted. So, and for the tests that we have been done, we can recover the system in 2 hours just by clicking a button to redeploy, okay? This is something, there is also another aspect that might be interesting for you because our idea, we are currently on AWS, but we are not dependent on the cloud provider itself. So the whole architecture of this is kind of agnostic of where it's seated. So we can easily move everything to GCP or Azure. Okay.
So, of course, we face some challenges, namely moving from self-managed to platform as a service. we lost a little bit of the server's administration and audit capabilities that we were used to. Some tasks that we performed back in the days, now we don't perform anymore. We need to rely on the support of Teradata, and we don't have any much to add here. We had to adopt new features and to learn them, namely TASM and EPOD, which it's for us that we have several geographies. It was hard to find consensus, for example, for activate EPOD in our business units. It was a challenge, and also the shaping of EPOD and of TASM, sorry, it was quite hard to put in paper all the workloads that we had and give priorities. It is also that always evolving.
Yeah.
Still today we are working on that.
That was an hard challenge because business object is obviously the legacy system that we have, so a lot of things going on there, and then you had to go through all the universes and all these things that's going inside a business object and putting tags on it so you can actually work them in TASM. That was kind of a challenge. EPOD, this is important for you, so or why it was a challenge for us. The time zone in Poland, European time zone, and the Colombian one, right? So because Poland and Portugal are 1 hour difference, so that doesn't make any problem. But the Colombian time zone is 5 hours difference, yep. Right? And we need, well, even for these domestic activities to cleanups, backups, and so on, it's always difficult to find the proper time windows to do those jobs, right? So the shape that we wanted to put on EPOD, one to leverage the elasticity that we want on the system, was also kind of a challenging for getting everybody on board and committed on the shape that we put in the system.
Yeah, so the resource management was a challenge because we wanted to maximize what we have, because it changed a little bit here our financial perspectives. We moved from CapEx to OpEx. Mm-hmm. Back in the days, we had an old can in the basement. We didn't care about that. 10 years later, it was paid, more than paid, and we didn't care. But now we receive a bill every month. So it's a new kind of challenge and preoccupations that we need to address. Also there, we have the resource consumption monitoring, that it needs to be more detailed by the company, by the workload, for us to address these billing operations.
Yeah, back charging.
So why did we want to try the lake? We wanted to assess if we can boost our team's work and autonomy. Each team should be as much autonomous and independent as possible. We wanted to leverage the new AI features and capabilities of the solution, and also we wanted to test Databricks integration and so on.
Okay.
Yeah. We wanted to access improved development practices, like establish a development and quality assurance environment, assess the setup of CI/CD pipelines, assess the lake in the data lakehouse. We wanted to test the open table formats, the object file systems features, and we wanted to know how to improve the resource management. We want to leverage the compute clusters and control environments, contamination and noise on others' workloads. And by the end, and important for us, the capability of a new disaster and recovery in Jerónimo Martins. So how did we do it? A 30-day trial that we ran on July this year. The trial was set in AWS just for questions to be quicker to implement and set up for us. Do not worry with the network requirements and so on. We had a very engaged multidisciplinary team, And here I want to mention the Teradata Iberia team, namely Josep and Javi, that was tireless in the support that they gave us in the trial and ran after all the challenges that we observed.
Yeah.
And we truly worked in collaboration here.
Yeah, it's never too much to praise those guys because they were actually fantastic.
So, what we saw here, we found that Teradata Vantage Cloud Lake, it's the best of both data lakes and data warehouse into a single platform. We tested the open table formats and the object file systems, and we didn't find any negative impact on performance using this type of tables, and we observed a couple of advantages. A smaller cost per terabyte in storage, the automatic backup, and the features of time travel, partition, and schema evolution. It was pretty good for us. We also tested Query Grid, and we found it a powerful solution to query and transfer data from other systems and create here like a data mesh environment. We also could test data copy, that it's an improved solution from Data Mover. So regarding the computation and the performance, we saw that it's very promising, the isolated and scalable on-demand compute. We could leverage the team's autonomy to start, create, stop clusters. We didn't find any impact on other workloads as we see right now, because we only have one system. And we could put an end to resource cannibalization by having dedicated resources to each company or workload. And also, we could address elastic peak of usage by scaling the compute. What we saw also, and leverage here the team's autonomy, is the ease of setup and creation of compute clusters, start, stop, with programmatic use. By simple statements in SQL that could be programmatic, we could do all these operations because we found the Lake console a bit green, and there is a lot to room to improve, and we want to point out that also.
Yeah, we already know, side note, we already know there is a new version of the console.
And we want to test it.
Matt already mentioned. We know that there is a newer version, but we ended the trial before it was released.
Yeah. So we found that the integration with, for example, Databricks works perfectly, and it allows up-to-date features and library versions, as we saw during these 2 days. And with this, we could improve the data science team experience. So those guys, namely Daniel teams, were quite happy with what they can get. It's a step forward for what we have now. With this, we have challenges. We saw that we need a new set of governance rules to be defined. We will have to govern and manage a new set of permissions and rules, like who can create the compute clusters, who can scale those compute resources. With that, again, we talk about cost controls, and we need to set up barriers on who can do what until when. And that it's a challenge for us.
Yes, just another side note. So we are a food retailer business, so we don't work with big margins, right? So cost for us is a very sensitive topic. Whatever, any kind of derail on the budgets that we have is actually a true nightmare. So that's a real concern for us.
And the last topic, this was really an enabler for our disaster and recovery strategy. We found that we didn't have no major concerns on backward compatibility with the existing tools and solutions that we have. We could enable here a multi-cloud strategy. We can deploy this disaster and recovery in any other availability zone or any other cloud that will function the right way. And we could start use data copy for a clever data synchronization.
No. DR being on cloud is kind of should be thought differently than you are used to do it while on-prem, right? So you set up a DR system for on-prem because you are mainly concerned on hardware failure, right? Or even if it's a more catastrophic thing, so power supply failure and so on. And then you have a different data center in a different city or so. But now on the cloud, the risks that we are actually facing are kind of different. And that's the topic of having these cloud independent and be able to move it around or set it up in a different place is very important, I think.
Yes, and the flexibility to have a cost-effective solution. So we pay only what we use with compute clusters. So there is a possibility to max out our costs in an effective way, because we only pay what we will lose.
In case of an event.
Yeah. So we were here for these 2 days looking for inspiration and show our history, but also to be challenged to what's the next steps that we should look.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Don't be shy. Well.
Everyone is sorry.
Oh, hang on, we got one there. Yeah.
I would then have few because maybe I did not get it. So you were in the cloud on enterprise and you are testing Cloud Lake?
Yes.
Okay, then I have a lot of questions because we are we are actually trying to do this. You said that you will save a lot of money. We went through a lot of discussions here.
No, we didn't say that.
Yeah. Okay. What was your actually approach? Because we are also in the cloud. Everything is on a block storage. Mm-hmm. You have 20,000 tables with 110 terabytes. Did you move everything to the primary cluster first, and then you try to think what you could move out from it?
Yeah.
And you said you did not have performance impact.
Let's one thing. So we moved to the cloud for Vantage Enterprise 1 year ago. Okay, Cloud Lake was not that much available by then. We started the project even earlier than that. So Cloud Lake was not an option by that time, unfortunately. Right. Yes, we did lift and shift for most things. So we moved everything that we had on-prem, and we had to do that in kind of a speedy fashion way because we are reaching end of life for the system that we have on-prem, right? So we didn't want to invest that much time on putting more complexity on the project itself, right? So we took the opportunities, and like Matt said, it was saying, okay, let's fix some things that we can do while we are moving, right? And I can tell you a few technical aspects, right? Usual technical debt people having connection strings using IP addresses. We have to go through all of that to anticipate any kind of connectivity issues while being in the cloud.
My question was to the next stage, when you are already in the cloud and you move to Cloud Lake.
We are not moved. We just
tried it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But did you move all your data to Cloud Lake?
No.
Or you just
a small
okay,
subset.
so
No, just a small subset.
Okay.
So we have a few things that we said here, but it's important to also give context on that. The system that was provided during the trial is a small one, okay? So we made a few tests and we saw, okay, this is promising, okay? In terms of performance, using the object file storage and the open data formats is promising, right? But it's not a real deal, right?
It needs some scale, but our objective was to test functionalities.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get it. Okay, thank you.
other questions? Oh, yeah,
Oh,
over there.
I have one over here.
You mentioned about data copy being better than data mover.
Yeah.
In what terms do you think it
So
is better?
the interface, it's much better. It's way easier to set up the jobs and to manage it, to schedule and everything. And we found it a little bit faster, but I don't want to commit to this statement. But in reality, it's like a data mover on asteroids. It could leverage like the data transfer. It's much better than with data mover.
And you did not consider taking snapshots? Why are you still using data mover?
Sorry,
Data,
can you repeat?
Data mover, why didn't we consider the snapshots? Well, data mover, we are using it to transfer data between systems. So,
yeah, so we are just synchronizing the main tables that are critical for our businesses from the cloud system to the on-prem system that is now our disaster and recovery.
Yeah.
So it's a small volume of data that it's run daily. So it's a small batch of data that is synchronized.
I'm probably going to ask a very stupid question, but in these 2 days, it still is unclear to me what is the difference from a functional perspective between Vantage Cloud Enterprise and the Lake. Do we get connection functionality? What can you give me?
What we value the most, and what we see is the ability to set up compute clusters that you can assign to specific workloads. Okay, so for instance, this guy, data science, right? He has his own things, the bring your own model, everything that we have been learning here. You can give him his own playground. Okay, then you will send him his invoice, but that's another story.
So we have the same things, the same features as the enterprise Vantage, but then we have a layer of compute clusters that we can deploy and dedicate to some specific activities.
So, and why is this important? Okay, so given the complexity of all the workloads that we have, with all the teams across all companies and everybody putting queries on top of the system, right? There is a certain moments in the day where we have a lot of stress in the system, right? So what we see is if someone behaves badly, right, it introduces a lot more stress than it's supposed to in the system. It's impacting everyone else's, right? So something that it should take 1 hour to run, we probably start to work and will run in 3 hours, right? That will cause a problem for these teams. By setting up independent clusters, compute clusters, you assign specific workloads to each of compute clusters. Whatever you do, right, indeed, in that compute cluster, you can stress the machine to the top, right, and you leave the others with an air gap. So whatever is happening here is not impacted the other ones. We were not able to test the performance in terms of storage, right? Because there's not in 30 days it was not possible to stress it at its most, right? But for me, that's one important thing. How will common storage, with all these compute clusters eating the same storage, how will behave? I'm assuming that Teradata, being well known for its performance, will have that addressed.
So
I think there's one question.
This lady also before.
Thank you. I was going to say you just touched on workload management there. So what were the specific challenges? What sort of workload management setup did you have on your previous infrastructure compared to what you've done now?
So while on-prem and now on cloud? Well, while on-prem, we didn't have any, right? Now we have tasks, and we can assign priorities. Essentially, it's this: assign priorities and say, okay, these workloads it goes in the fast lane. Okay.
So,
and you also can shape the amount of resources that you assign to a specific groups of workloads. Okay, so you can virtually divide the system, the enterprise system, in partitions, right? You assign a few workloads to that partition and say, okay, what are we doing? For instance, Biedronka, the Polish company, has 50% of the system during this period of the day. It will take over 50% of the resources, compute, memory, everything, right?
So I would have a very concrete question to one slide because it's a bit confusing that you are already in the cloud, but you say now you are an enabler of DR. In the cloud, your 110 terabytes go to snapshot in 3 hours. In the next 1 hour, you are up and running in DR.
Yeah.
We did it 3 weeks ago in the production. We had a disaster. Why would actually we are concerned in Cloud Lake with the DR because you are not on a block storage with everything. So how to snapshot your?
That's my comment. My previous comments about DR, and while being at cloud, the concerns that we should have or should be thinking on for disasters are slightly different than ones that we have well on-prem, right? If you're on the cloud provider, what's the guarantee that you have that you can spin up another systems in
3 hours?
Oh, we pay for it. So we have a DR.
Okay,
but
we don't.
Do you have DR?
We don't have a reservation. It takes us hours in case of DR. The AWS is helping us. But no, we don't pay a reservation, but we pay the licenses for the DR, so we can any point in time click the button and hope that we are up and running.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't have that.
Well, that's
we just only have the backup of the cloud normal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's why, and also we run everything, every data company, just in one system, as we said in the beginning. So we don't have a development environment aside, everything secure, and we want to make here an evolution. That's why we are looking for the lake as a disaster.
You just cut in some corners by saying that it's not secure. It is secure, but it's in the same box. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just a compliment and to try to explain. We moved the on-prem system to the cloud. So the on-prem systems, we set it up as a VR environment. Okay. So this one is falling apart already, and that's why we are looking for to a VR system in the cloud. Okay. What was the problem back then? So we are cost sensitive, as I already explained. Those guys suffered a lot with us. With these questions, and we decided not to, because the investment to have an alternative side system just doing nothing and paying a lot for it didn't make sense for us back then. Okay, with the Vantage Cloud Lake architecture, you can set up a small system. If you don't think to use it, forget about any other use cases, and you just look into it just for a VR system. So you can set up a primary cluster as tiny as possible, just to allow you to synchronize data. And then, whenever an incident occurs, you can spin up compute, and you can go back to life, right? That's what you're looking after 1 year or more ago, to try to find like an insurance policy, right? I want to pay a fee for it, but I don't mind to pay premium price whenever I need it, right? But I don't want to pay a big invoice every month just to do nothing with it. Any other questions?
Any last questions?
No, I'll just validate the one comment you guys made. Dan Sperling mentioned in his keynote about customer feedback. A lot of your feedback went back to us around the console, and you're right, we are really incorporating a lot of that feedback. So thank you guys for that.
Yes. I think it's important. There's one last question. I think it's important. It's important to mention once again the communication channels that we have available. The commitment with Teradata team on building solutions for us is very important to bring light to that. It's been working really good.
I just wanted to add a comment. I'm from Teradata.
Okay.
Regarding the VCL console, I definitely encourage everyone to look at our latest and greatest because financial governance is a huge topic across enterprises and
Yes.
especially between IT departments and the lines of business where you have a fixed budget and then business says that, all right, I don't care, it's IT's budget. So, but at the same time, I'm going to consume whatever I want.
Yeah.
So with VCL, it gives you the ability to actually cross-charge, back to the business, gives them the autonomy to do what they want, yes, but it comes at a cost. They can pay for that extra 20% while you can have 80% of budget nicely distributed to fund, majority of the projects. And it's not only on the cluster level, it goes all the way down project ID as well as, user ID.
Yes.
So it's really good. And you have budget alerts, consumption alerts.
Yes. Yes, that's true. That's really important. That's a transformation that we are seeking to do inside our organization, which is not easy. Okay, so remember the comment from Rodrigo. We are used to do so. We are a very traditional organization. We are used to let's buy this box, send it to the basement, send the invoice to the accounting team. Forget about it. Okay, I don't care about it. It is capex, and financial stuff that I don't understand, right? Now we are changing a little bit the thing. So we are now going to operational costs, and those numbers come every single month in the P&L, right? Which is very different, yeah. So the FinOps part is also a cultural change that is not easy to do.
Thank you very much. So I think you've got